Freshwater shouldn't be this unforgiving. Yet across the United States, there are lakes that twist wind into whirlpools, turn warmth into cold traps, and keep what they take. These are the waters that look peaceful, until you enter them. 5. Lake Lanier. It looks peaceful from above, a blue sprawl winding through the green hills of northern Georgia. Boats drift lazily, music echoes off the coves, and the water sparkles under the afternoon sun. But beneath that glittering surface lies something few want to think about, an entire world that no longer exists. When Lake Lanier was created in the 1950s, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers flooded more than 50,000 acres of farmland and small towns to form a reservoir for Atlanta. Cemeteries were moved, churches dismantled, and over 700 families forced to leave the only homes they'd ever known. But not everything was taken. Entire structures, barns, roads, even fragments of houses were left behind, swallowed by the rising water. Beneath Lake Lanier still lie remnants of what was once Oscarville, a small community wiped from the map but not from memory. Divers who descend into its murky depths describe a world frozen in time, telephone poles reaching into the dark, tangled branches from dead trees clawing at wetsuits, and the eerie outlines of foundations resting on the lakebed. Visibility drops to almost nothing. One wrong move, and even trained divers lose orientation. It's this underwater labyrinth, combined with sudden drop-offs, cold water shock, and unpredictable currents, that makes Lanier one of the deadliest lakes in the United States. Over the decades, hundreds of people have drowned here. Boaters, swimmers, entire families caught in freak accidents. The water's beauty hides its hostility. Beneath the surface, temperature layers shift sharply, sending waves of cold through the body and paralyzing muscles before panic even begins. Logs and cables from the old town snag limbs and trap those who venture too deep. Locals whisper that the lake is haunted, that its history refuses to rest. Others dismiss it as myth, but either way, the numbers don't lie. Each summer brings new warnings, new recoveries. At dusk, when the sun drops behind the pines and the water turns black, the surface ripples like a mirror to the past. Lake Lanier is not just a lake, it's a drowned town with a heartbeat that still echoes beneath the waves. 4. Lake Mead. The desert was never meant to hold water, and yet, here it is. A vast blue scar carved between the cliffs of Nevada and Arizona, fed by the Colorado River and restrained by the Hoover Dam. For decades, Lake Mead stood as proof that humanity could command the wild, that we could make an oasis where none should exist. But the desert doesn't forget. Slowly, quietly, the lake is shrinking, its cracked banks creeping inward as the water retreats and the past rises back into view. As drought tightened its grip on the southwest, the lake began revealing what it had buried. Empty marinas now dangle above dry earth like ribs of a stranded beast. Rusted boats rest where fish once swam. And then, the barrels surfaced, corroded, heavy with memory. Inside one lay a body, preserved by decades of cold and silence. More appeared as the waterline dropped, grim artifacts from a time when the lake ran deep enough to swallow mistakes whole. What was once a symbol of progress, now whispers of what we choose to hide. But the danger isn't just history resurfacing, it's the lake itself. Sudden winds sweep across the Mojave, colliding with canyon walls and turning the calm surface violent in seconds. Rogue waves rise from nowhere, flipping small boats and dragging swimmers under before they can react. The narrow inlets amplify sound in strange ways. One cry for help can vanish entirely in the echo beneath. The danger multiplies. Cold undercurrents twist through the warm upper layers, creating invisible traps that seize the body without warning. Divers call it the quiet shock, a paralysis that feels almost peaceful, but only because it happens too fast to fight. Rescue is rare and slow. The lake is ringed by miles of barren desert, and when something goes wrong, time becomes the real enemy. Visibility underwater is nearly zero, thick, silty darkness swallowing even the brightest floodlight. Those who've gone down to recover what the lake reveals describe it as descending into ink, where outlines dissolve and direction disappears. At sunset, Lake Mead looks almost serene, the cliffs turning crimson, the water reflecting gold. But the beauty is deceptive. Every ripple, every inch of receding shoreline tells the same story. The desert is reclaiming what was never truly ours. And with every secret it exposes, Lake Mead reminds us, nothing we build in defiance of nature remains untouched by time. 3. Mono Lake. In California's high desert, there is a lake that seems misplaced, a relic from another world. Mono Lake doesn't shimmer, it gleams, its surface a sheet of liquid metal beneath the brutal sun. Around it rise strange limestone formations called tufas, towers sculpted by centuries of mineral-rich water, standing like petrified sentinels on a planet that forgot to die. But beauty is deceptive. Mono Lake is not a sanctuary. It is a caustic, ancient trap, one of the most inhospitable bodies of water on Earth, capable of burning skin and blinding eyes with a single careless dive. Mono Lake is nearly 1 million years old, one of North America's oldest lakes, and completely sealed from the sea. No river drains it, so every grain of salt, every trace of mineral that enters stays behind forever. Over millennia, evaporation turned the basin into an immense bowl of alkaline water, so concentrated it could dissolve bone. Its salinity is almost triple that of the ocean, its chemistry closer to cleaning solution than to life. Yet somehow, life exists. Tiny, defiant life. Brine shrimp swarm by the billions, feeding flocks of migratory birds that fill the skies in whirling, ghostly patterns. Even the alkali flies, small, black, tireless, crawl across the foam in a dance between survival and surrender. To stand on Mono's shore is to feel both awe and unease. The air stings with minerals. The crusted ground crunches underfoot like brittle glass. The horizon wavers in heat, framed by the distant Sierra Nevada. But here, nothing stirs. No boats, no swimmers, no echo of life beyond the hum of insects and the wind sighing over salt. It's beautiful, yes, but in the way deserts are beautiful. Silent, pitiless, eternal. When Los Angeles diverted Mono's feeder streams in the 1940s, the lake began to shrink. The waterline fell by 45 feet, salinity soared, and clouds of toxic dust rose from the newly exposed lakebed. Even now, though restoration efforts have slowed the damage, Mono remains a fragile scar on the landscape, too harsh to touch, too strange to forget. 2. Lake Michigan. At first glance, it could be mistaken for the sea. The horizon dissolves into haze, the air hums with wind, and the waves move with the weight of something alive. But Lake Michigan is not the ocean. It has no tides to signal its moods, no rhythm to predict its calm or its anger. Its fury comes without pattern, without warning, and every year it takes more than it gives. Of all the Great Lakes, Michigan claims the most lives. The danger hides beneath its surface, in the invisible hands of water that pull without sound. Rip currents, structural currents, longshore currents, each one a moving river that flows against the grain. They form when wind collides with sandbars, piers, and breakwaters, creating silent channels that drag swimmers hundreds of feet in seconds. Most victims never drift far. They're found close to shore, within sight of help, pulled under by water that looks calm until it isn't. Even on the warmest days, the cold waits below. The upper layer basks in sunlight, but dive a few feet deeper, and the temperature plunges toward freezing. The shock can paralyze the body before fear even has time to rise. The sandy floor is restless, shifting, collapsing, reshaping itself with each wave. One moment you're standing, the next, the ground is gone. And then there are the storms, sudden, violent, and deceptive. The gales that sweep across Lake Michigan are born from clashing air masses that can turn still water into chaos within minutes. Waves rise over 20 feet high, slamming into piers, swallowing boats, and erasing shorelines. Entire ships have vanished here, their remains scattered across the lakebed like broken fossils of human ambition. Mariners call them freshwater hurricanes, storms that roar without mercy or warning. Every summer, lifeguards post red flags. Every summer, the numbers climb again. Locals have learned to respect it. Some even fear it. But visitors often don't understand until they see how quickly the lake changes. One step too far, one misjudged swim, and the water closes in. Lake Michigan doesn't rage for attention. It doesn't need to. It's vast enough to look endless, beautiful enough to deceive, and cold enough to remind anyone who enters. This is not a beach. It's a sea that never learned to forgive. At number 1, Lake Superior. It is the oldest, coldest, and deepest of them all. a body of water so immense it shapes its own weather, so cold it preserves what it takes. Lake Superior stretches across the northern horizon like a slab of gray glass, larger than Austria, deeper than belief, and holding more water than all the other Great Lakes combined. From its rocky shores, the world feels distant. The air carries a metallic chill, and the water seems endless, patient, alive. Even in midsummer, its temperature hovers near freezing. One slip, one misstep into that dark expanse, and the body reacts before the mind does. The lungs seize, the heart stutters, and breath disappears in seconds. Hypothermic shock doesn't wait for panic. Superior doesn't roar, it numbs. Storms rise here without warning. The same cold that keeps the water pure also fuels tempests that move like living things. A calm morning can turn to chaos by noon, winds screaming across the surface, waves stacking 40 feet high, tearing at the hulls of ships built to survive oceans. More than 300 have gone down in these waters. Their remains still rest beneath, untouched by decay, sealed in a silence colder than any grave. The most haunting story belongs to the Edmund Fitzgerald, the 729-foot freighter that vanished on November 10th, 1975. 29 men were aboard when the storm rolled in, winds at 60 miles per hour, waves the size of houses. There were no distress calls, no debris for days. When divers finally reached the wreck, they found it split clean in two, lying 500 feet below the surface. The men were still inside. Locals say the lake never gives up its dead, and it's more than legend. The water is too cold for bacteria to thrive, halting decay entirely. Bodies sink, suspended in the dark, preserved as they were, waiting. Scientists explain it as physics. Those who live along the shore call it memory. Stand on the cliffs and you can feel it, that low hum in the wind, the kind that seems to come from beneath the waves. Superior doesn't demand respect, it assumes it. It doesn't take out of cruelty, only indifference. It's not just a lake, it's a vault, a monument carved in ice and depth, holding everything it's ever claimed and refusing to let it go. Water has always carried two faces, reflection and ruin. From the desert's hollow lake to the inland seas that never give back, these places remind us that beauty can be patient and danger can be silent. We shape the land, we name it, we map it, but water never truly belongs to us. It only tolerates our presence. For a while. Beneath every calm surface lies the same question. How much of the earth have we really tamed? And how much is simply waiting to remind us who's in control? Because not every danger lives where the waves break. Some are still, watching, and closer than we think. Join us for the next discovery.